Hi there, welcome. This is my Ask Me Anything session. I'm Christine Weber. I'm the founder of Subtle Yoga, and I decided to come on live tonight because lots of folks have been asking me questions about the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society, which is my membership, and Subtle Yoga. So I thought I'd just come on, see if folks want to be here live, want to ask questions. And I have a whole list of questions that people have been emailing me. So I'll go through those, of course. If you are watching on YouTube, I'm not sure that your questions are going to come through, to be perfectly honest. So one of the simplest things you could do is just email us support@subtleyoga.com, because I have a bunch of different windows open in my browser and I can just jump around and see if questions are coming in real time. But I do have, I have like 30 questions on a document on my computer that I'll be reading from. Quite a few questions have come in. So yeah, we started on Friday. We started the 5-day Subtle Yoga New Year, New Habit Practice Challenge. We had so many lovely people participate and lots of really nice comments. So I really want to thank all of you who participated. And if you were interested in I'm sorry, I'm getting a little distracted because my cat is knocking on the door, and hopefully my husband will get the cat. And so I apologize if you're hearing cat knocks on the door. Um, anyway, so it's really funny. I'm like, did Jerry? He always knows exactly when I do things like go live, and then decides to start knocking on my door then. Okay, so anyway, we started the 5-day practice challenge on Friday. Lots of great people participated, and a lot of people watched the replay. So that was the first thing I wanted to tell you is today's only January 9th. And so it's not too late to start the challenge. You can watch the replays. You can watch them as many times as you want. You can do all of them in one day if you want. It won't be too much. It's not like doing, it's not like doing a ton of 2.5 hours of sun salutes. It's not that at all. Or you can watch one a day for, just keep repeating them. They will all stay up until the end of January. And this is a really good time to create a new habit. So I hope that you'll take advantage of those classes. If you join the challenge, we will be sending you the stick figure scripts probably sometime next week. Okay, so I see that folks are here. Welcome if you're here, and feel free to use that chat box and go ahead and put some, go ahead and put, or the comment box rather, and go ahead and put some comments in, questions in that you would like to ask me. So this is Ask Me Anything, which I'm always like a little afraid someone's going to ask me something risque, and I will politely decline to answer any questions that are not appropriate, obviously. But I'm hoping I did get. I'm a little gun shy at the moment because I did get a really inappropriate photo, even comment and photo yesterday. That was. It's always a little stunning when you see trolls, right? But it happens, and it's just part of being out there too. I'm really out there in terms of social media. I don't know that I'm so out there as a person. Maybe I'm a little out there as a person, but certainly in social media, I'm very I put myself out a lot, so it happens. And however, the topic of tonight is Ask Me Anything. So I'm assuming it's going to be stuff that has to do with yoga. But if you want recommendations about things, or have questions about your own practice, I'm happy to answer as best I can. Okay, so the first question I have is and these are things I have written because people emailed me, but feel free to post in the comments if you have questions. So the first question I have is, do you have to print out the notes, or can you write them through the app? So I think that question is about the notebook that we provide every month in the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society. I'm assuming that's what that's about. And some people print them out and some people don't. We send them as PDFs. If you use Adobe for your PDF platform, or your PDF software, I should say, You can, for most people, you can pull over the little box and write in, and it's pretty easy to use. So yeah, you can write on the PDF. Some people, there's also PDF converters, things that take PDFs and convert them to Word, and I mean, there's things like that that people use. We appreciate if you don't if you don't print that out and change the copyright, of course. But a lot of people will just use the software like Adobe to take notes on it. And then some people print it out and write on it. I know there's plenty of people in the society who have big three ring binders that they put the guides in and use them for reference. Okay, so the next question is, what if you can't make it at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time? So the Resilient Society happens at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesdays and Eastern on Wednesdays. But I have people in the group from Australia and New Zealand, and that's like in the middle of the night usually for them. Um, so many people will get together with folks in their area and watch a video at the same time. Lots of people just like the freedom of watching the videos whenever they want to watch them. And we make it really easy for you. They're very well organized, both in Facebook as well as in Kajabi. So you can watch them in either place. The next question is, how do I get a study buddy? Okay, so we do like to encourage study buddies. And what people have done in the past is they will put up a post in the group that says, I'm looking for a study buddy in my area or in my time zone. And that's often a great way to find a study buddy. And also, it just happens kind of organically. A lot of people have they meet with each other, or they meet each other through by posting in the group, and then that's one way that they find people that they want to study with. So that's what I would recommend for study buddies. Okay, next question is, who is the Resilient Science Society for? And I think what that one means is it just for yoga teachers? Because a lot of people, I mean, it's for anybody, excuse me, it's for anybody who's interested in, nervous system focused yoga. A lot of the people in my group are yoga teachers. And one of the reasons for that is I've been training yoga teachers for 20 years. And so many of my students are yoga teachers, but not everybody. So anybody who's interested in, using slow mindful yoga. Somebody asked if they sign up, if they can pay in the next 48 hours. I'm not sure when you asked this question, but the Resilient Society actually closes at midnight tomorrow night. So that's like, 20, 30 something hours from now. So if we of course will open up again later this year, but if you can't pay right now, just talk to Stacy about that, and I'm sure she can work something out. Somebody said, I'm really interested in joining, but I'm worried about the Wednesday morning meeting time, the social component, and learning with Christine in real time. Have you seen a lot of folks connect with each other outside of Wednesdays? Yeah, we do. I do see that happen quite often, that people are connecting with each other. What I really like is that people connect with each other in their localities. Like a lot of the people in the UK know each other now, and know the times. There's people in Australia, especially in Perth for some reason in Western Australia, that know each other. So yeah, I think that is one way that it seems to work well, because not everybody's available on Wednesday mornings. But what's different than teaching a live in-person class is, like, if you can't make it, you can't make it, but with this, if you can't make it live, like, everything is recorded, everything stays up forever. We have classes from 3 years ago that are in the group. So yeah, everything stays up for a long time. How can you say more about how people navigate this? Yeah, it really depends on the person. A lot of people have different ways of approaching it. Some people really don't they don't mind if they're practicing on their own. Other people really enjoy practicing together, and so you can, especially using Kajabi, you can do a Zoom call and bring up the video and the practice together. Some people just are like, okay, we're going to practice this thing at the same time, so we know we're practicing together, and then we can have a conversation about it afterwards. So I think there's a lot of ways that people work it out. Okay, so then somebody said, I'm wondering if you can explain if there's a weekly yoga session or a daily yoga session. It's weekly. It's only on Wednesdays. But she said, I'm not quite clear on that. When you do a class, so you tell us what that class will zone in on, similar to what you're doing in the sample classes. Yes, that's exactly right. Well, so when I teach, I tell exactly what we're going to be doing in the class, but actually we have a theme for, not exactly, but I give the focus of the class, but actually we have a theme for every month. So each guide has a different theme, and there's 45 guides right now, and they're everything from yoga for knee health, yoga for low back health, yoga for healthy lungs. I mean, yoga for menopause, yoga for grief, yoga for positive mental health. I mean, it just goes on and on. There's so many different guides. And it's been really fun to work through that and to curate all the information, and then to help folks, I should say, it's been fun for me to help develop this curriculum. So it is like, a lot of people will say it's like a 500-hour teacher training because there's so much information in it. But the other thing is, you don't have to be really, you don't have to be too serious about it. Like, if you don't want to, some people are just like, I just want to practice on Wednesdays. And then sometimes, like on a Saturday, I'll have some time. So I'll pull up a video that I feel like watching, and you can go through the list and see what the topics are. So it's pretty easy. Also, they're like 2 Wednesdays are 1-hour classes. And the first Wednesday, it's the first and the fourth Wednesday are 1-hour classes, but on that first Wednesday, there's also a half an hour mini workshop. So some people just watch the classes. They're not that interested in the workshop. And then on the second and third Wednesday, there's these shorter classes. They're about 35 to 40 minutes, and they include pranayama and meditation. Pranayama in the first one, the second one, and meditation on the third. And some people just like those because they're a little bit shorter. And then all of the challenge videos live in the Resilient Society. And so you have all of these 30-minute practices. They're right at the beginning. We put them at the beginning in our platform called Kajabi. In Facebook, they're there. They're just kind of buried a little bit more, but you can still find them. But a lot of people like that because that's a way where you can just get a 30-minute practice easily. Okay, so I see some questions coming in live. Thank you so much for asking questions. Hi, Julie. Julie said, if I subscribe on a monthly basis to see if I like it, can I transfer it on an annual basis at a special price? I don't know that we're doing that, but you can just email Stacy and ask her, because I haven't heard that question before. But I would think she would, but just ask her. support@settleyoga.com. She can tell you that. Yeah, because it's much, I think you save like $100 if you do the annual rate. Citizen Cohen, that's great. I love that. And that's coming from YouTube. Good. I'm glad YouTube people are tuning in from YouTube. Do you film the members on Facebook? No, I do not. My last YTT said they wouldn't, and then they did. I'm sorry to hear that, but no, I can't film anybody on Facebook. It's like this, it can only be me. The only thing that will come up is exactly what's coming up right now, which is your name with your little icon there and your question. If you leave a comment, but if you don't leave a comment, nothing comes up. So yeah, it's not Zoom. I use a platform that's called StreamYard. Sometimes people ask me those questions. By the way, what do you use? I might as well talk about that now. What is your equipment? So I use StreamYard. I have a Logitech webcam. That's what I'm using right now. And then I use these mics. These are great mics, by the way, for those of you who are yoga teachers. They're a little pricey. I think they're around $200, but they're so good because you plug this one in and it's the receiver. And then this one, I clip it on, you can put it under, this is my sports bra. You can put it underneath your clothes, and it's amazing. I'm not using that mic right now. When I sit at my desk, I usually use my I'm not a podcaster, but I'm on a lot of podcasts. So I use this one, the Blue Snowball, That was not that expensive. So that's what I use for a mic when I'm sitting at my desk, and I use those. And then I always have really good lights too. Like I have a ring light here, but it's up high because of my glasses. And then I use it just like a standing big ring light in my basement for filming. So thank you for making me think about that, Citizen Cohen, because it's people often ask me what equipment I use, and I keep it really like I'm really homey. I'm not high tech with what I use at all. I'm very very low tech, but it works. Okay, so Mary asked, will I be notified if I need to renew? Yes, we have a automatic, and I Stacy can answer this better than I can, but we have an automatic renewing thing where it spits out an email to you that says, "Hey, your renewal's coming up," but that's only for the annuals. For the monthly, we don't. And for monthly payments, you are, of course, welcome to unsubscribe at any time. That's another question people ask a lot is, can you get a refund? And we do not do refunds for monthly, and that's just because like it's just really that's really hard to do, as a membership thing. So you've been in the group for 3 weeks and then you ask for a refund. It doesn't work, but you can unsubscribe anytime. So, and that's just reach out to Stacy for that. Mary said, for some reason, I'm not getting any notifications. Oh, okay. So you need to email Stacy and she'll help you figure that out. Then Julie said, thanks for answering my question. You're welcome. Oh, Mary said, I'm yearly, and I was wondering if I'd get you should get an email. And if you're concerned about not getting emails, just reach. Stacy is amazing, by the way. For those of you folks who don't know her, Stacy McDonough, she's quite an extraordinary person. She has been helping me with subtle yoga for about 7 years. She's a yoga therapist. She specializes in working in recovery, addiction recovery, and she's just an incredible person, a really really solid yoga therapist, and very dedicated to subtle yoga methodology. So she is dedicated, and she's also like amazing at customer support. So she has been she's really really helpful. Anybody who knows her and has interacted with her has said that. Yeah, so Mary, all you have to do is support@subtleyoga.com. That's our email, support@subtleyoga.com. Yeah, Joyce, did you get that? Support@subtleyoga.com. And Stacy will be happy to help. Yeah, Linda put a big Stacy. Yay, Stacy. I agree, Linda. Okay, so feel free to use the comments for those of you who are on YouTube or watching on Facebook. Happy to answer more questions. I still have quite a lot on my list here. I'm putting a little strike through them as I go through them. So here's the next question. I am a semi-retired senior. I've suffered from osteoarthritis in my neck and shoulders, old injuries. For the last 25 years, I've avoided most activity like yoga because I find some upper body movements too painful. This is why I signed up for your free 5-day sessions. I live where it's really dark and it's cold here at 7 a.m. I only made it to one live class, but I enjoyed it, and my plan is to replay the others for the end of January. My question is, with regular slow practice of subtle yoga method, do you think I can develop more flexibility and reduce my upper body pain over time? The reason I'm smiling is not because you're upper body pain. It's just that I get questions like this a lot, and it's very difficult for me to say, yes, subtle yoga will solve your problems. It's very difficult for me to make that kind of statement based on I just don't know you, and I haven't taken your whole case. And done a thorough intake and looked at your health history. Like, it's very very difficult for me to make those judgments. So I don't want to oversell anything. I love subtle yoga. I love the practices, but I don't want to say like, oh, this is going to solve all your health problems, because I just can't make that. I can't make that assessment. What I will say is that many people with arthritis benefit from moving, and there's lots of evidence that when you have arthritis, that motion is lotion, and the more we stop moving, the worse the condition can become. So movement is really important for reducing inflammation. There's a lot of research on that, and a lot of good research, and we're getting more and more all the time. One of my favorite studies is from Helene Langevin, and she did it on rats. And they were looking at if stretching the rats would reduce their inflammation. Helene is actually the director of the National Center for Complementary Integrative Medicine. So I heard her talking about this rat study, and I was like, "That's so mean. They stretched the rats." And she was like, "No, no, no, no." Yeah, I just as I was thinking that, she was giving a talk, and she said, "No, no, no. We gave the rats a pencil. We had them hold on to it, and then we took their tails and we just gently started stretching them. The rats really got into it. They were like, "Oh, it feels so good." It's like it's so cute. Usually you think about like animal experiments, like, oh, it's so awful. But they were just like kindly stretching these rats. And what the study showed is that the rats had significant reduction in inflammation from being stretched. Um, so of course that one particular is not a human study, but there are human studies about stretching. I think there's one I'm pretty sure that this wonderful researcher named Holger Kramer, who's in Germany. He's in like the west. I can't remember the name of the town. I think it's Dusseldorf. He's in like the western part of Germany. And his research has been so important for the yoga community because he does a lot of what's called meta-analysis and systematic reviews, which are like the highest and most respected level of research. And so I'm pretty sure he did a study. I think it was around cancer, inflammation, and yoga that had very positive results. And there's quite a few other studies on it. So anyway, getting back to this topic of arthritis, and it's an inflammation, right? An inflammation of the joints. So if moving the muscles, the myofascia, tends to reduce inflammation, that would make sense to try and find ways to do it that do not exacerbate pain. And that's a big issue, right? Is around chronic pain. With chronic pain, people often feel like they don't want to move, and yet motion is really important. So if you're getting more pain from the motion, I had another question like this today, by the way, but I'm not going to go into the details. But if you're getting more pain from the motion, you've got to find that balance of how much can I do that's going to have those positive effects and not exacerbate it. And that's really tricky. And I would suggest that that's where interoceptive awareness, that spending time really tuning into how you're feeling as you're doing the practice is essential, and developing that skill is really important. One of the things that happens with folks with a lot of pain is that they've learned to power through stuff and just deal, grit the teeth and kind of deal with that, which is the way that a lot of people are trained to live their lives anyway. So this is kind of the opposite of that, and it does take a lot of awareness, and sometimes we overdo it. This is also very true about folks that have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. That often, the part of the practice, part of the learning is in slowing down and figuring out what your body can tolerate, because we have to move, right? So thank you. It's a great question. I wish I could answer it more thoroughly and specifically for you, but that's about where I can, that's going to have to land. I see there's a bunch of people watching online, so feel free to ask questions. I'm going to just keep reading questions here. This one is, I used to go to my physiotherapist regularly, which really helped with my mobility issues, but I can't afford to go these days. I think I need to therapize myself. I don't want to exacerbate the inflammation, so I have to choose carefully. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that was part of the previous one. Yeah. It's a shame when you can't afford stuff like physiotherapy, which I think is really important in those cases. And many of the healthcare systems are having challenges right now, not just the United States. And so and that's one of the reasons I think that yoga in small groups, or, this kind of yoga that you can learn online in a very affordable way, can be helpful, teaching ourselves what we need to learn about our bodies. But of course, if you're able to get that kind of care, I think it's important to get it. Okay, here's the next one. I know this is a well-discussed issue, but could you review a few fact-based responses I don't know if I have fact-based responses off the top of my head, but we'll see. Fact-based responses to people who see meditation as a wellness activity on an agenda and immediately try to opt out of it. Oh, so you'll have an agenda and there'll be meditation on it. And then people are like, I'm out of here for the meditation. Oh yeah. I've taught at plenty of conferences, like the healthcare conferences where I've offered some yoga and meditation. People are like, get me to the snack bar during that meditation. Like, get me out of here. I want to go, chat with people and not do yoga or meditation. The rest of that comment is, I suspect much of the aversion comes from an assumption that meditation is innately religious and Eastern. Yeah. So I live in the middle of the Bible Belt. Of course, I live in a little bubble in the Bible Belt in Nashville. So, but that doesn't mean that I have not experienced aversion, suspicion, accusations of yoga being a cult. I've had all of that stuff. I've heard all of that stuff, sometimes to my face even. And so, yeah, so what are the fact-based responses? So one of the things, this is one of the reasons I got so into neuroscience, because I can say, here, look, this is what Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin says that yoga and meditation does to change your brain. Here's what Sarah Lazar at Harvard says that meditation does to change your brain. Here's what Andrew Newberg at the University of Pennsylvania says that meditation does to change your brain. And there are plenty of researchers out there who have provided a tremendous amount of information. And then also Catherine Cook-Cottone and Helene Lungeveen at the National Institute of Health, who have provided really good information about asana practice, yoga practice for stretching, So you can do all that, you can show people, here's the evidence. And I think that's good. But when it comes to religion, especially when there's a feeling that it's interfering somehow with your religion, but you're kind of curious about it, but it's interfering with your religion. When it comes to that, I think sometimes it's really good when it comes from somebody who's in that person's religion. And I'm just going to use Christianity as an example because that's what I have faced a lot of here in Asheville in the South. I live in North Carolina. So oftentimes what I'll say is, hey, look at this yoga, like holy yoga, or this other thing, this kind of yoga, or this person I know who teaches Christian yoga, so that you can work with somebody who understands, your belief system and can help you feel okay about it. I saw somebody sent me, people send me stuff all the time. Somebody sent me a little article that came out of a Catholic bulletin just very recently. I guess must have been at a church close to her, that said, as Catholics, we don't practice yoga, we don't do Reiki, we don't read tarot cards, we don't do meditation because we're Catholics. And I was like, because I don't know that all Catholics would say that. I don't think they would. In fact, my teachers, I went to a Jesuit university. My teachers were extraordinarily open to the mystical and the mystery, and very open. They just didn't understand how something like yoga or meditation would be offensive to their religion. Didn't make any sense. I mean, Catholics meditate. It's part of the contemplative part of the religion, and so, when you have to find somebody, because within that religious experience, people have different opinions, right? So whose opinion are you going to be following? That's always the question. And when you can find people who teach yoga within that belief system, that's a great referral, right? That's a great referral, so that people feel safer. And for those people who say, because then there's the other side, which is the people who say the Christians should stop appropriating yoga. And there's some validity to that, absolutely. However, let's be clear, yoga has always been used in the context of many different belief systems, right? It was used by the Jains. It was used by the Vaishnavites, the Krishna worshippers, used by the Shaivites, the Shiva worshippers. That's not the same religion. Those are different belief systems, right? Yeah, and certainly used in various aspects of the Buddhist faith. So yoga has always been used in different faith traditions. It's a technology of being human that's adaptable to different faith traditions, and I think that understanding that can also take away some of this fear, that fear mongering even that happens, unfortunately, typically from people who are afraid that they're losing some of their power over others, because it simply is just a misunderstanding and quite inaccurate. So, okay, so thank you. That's such a good question. I really appreciate that question. And then following that question, another person asked, "What would you kindly expand on what is meant by your higher self?" And that's a perfect segue. Higher self is a term that's often used in the medical communities, actually, often used by mental health professionals. In the behavioral health world, meaning the world of folks that treat addiction, often they'll say higher power. That's a very commonly used term in addiction recovery, whereas in some people don't like the word power, so self seems to be a little more accurate. And the way that higher self is typically defined is a feeling of something. Some people say a feeling of something that's greater than yourself. Some people will say that. Other people, I've heard a feeling of something that feels supportive, internal and supportive. I think that's beautiful. For some people, of course, it's a deity. For other people, it's a feeling or an energy. For some people, it's the earth. For some people, it's the feeling of humanity, the goodness of humanity and the connection of all people. For other people, it feels the interconnectedness of all life. So for some people, it's a guru, so people have different ways that they define higher self. And what I think is important in this idea of self-determination is that people define their own higher self. And, sometimes that's a process. It can take a while for people to define it. And for folks that take a strong stance against any spiritual or religious belief system, the idea of higher self as being the goodness of humanity or the interconnectedness of all things or ethics, for some people that is sufficient. So it really is something that has to be defined by yourself. But it is a concept, I think, that is highly valuable for several reasons, largely because it helps us. Let me say largely because it has an evidence base. So there are several important researchers out there, and some of them, off the top of my head, Harold Koenig at Duke University, Corey Keyes at Emory University, Barbara Friedrichsen, she's at the University of North Carolina, and of course Lisa Miller at Columbia University. There's just off the top of my head these, and there's many others. These are researchers who look into the health benefits of spirituality. So there's a tremendous body of research demonstrating, just off the top of my head, Lisa Miller at Columbia showed that folks who value spirituality have a decreased incidence of depression, even when they have a genetic predisposition to depression. She also showed that they have more gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, so that often correlates with better sense of agency, decision making, etc., planning, executive function. So there's a pretty good amount of research about the benefits of spirituality and health, and that's all I really have to say. I mean, I think there's a lot of psycho-emotional benefits of spirituality. There was a model that was developed in the 1970s by a guy named George Engel that was called the biopsychosocial model of health. And it was a very important model. This is over 50 years ago, a very important model because it offered an alternative to the biomechanical model, which was just like, you're a car, if you have a broken part, change it. if you don't have enough fluid, put more in, like that was the model of the 20th century. George Engel came along and he said, no, that there's health is dependent upon biology, upon our psychology, and upon social factors. And then quite soon after that, critique of that model came out. And by the way, that model has been adopted as the gold standard for treating all chronic diseases. It's the gold standard now. Like anybody in the healthcare world understands the biopsychosocial model. Most anybody. And then some people came along afterwards and said, wait a minute, what about spirituality? And now that model is often referred to as the biopsychosocial spiritual model. So there's a tremendous amount of wisdom. There's a tremendous amount of awareness, I should say, of the wisdom of spirituality in health. And often that's enough. Now, what I don't necessarily know that it's just not that easy, I think, in a pluralistic culture like the United States to be able to teach about spirituality. So people will find it through their churches or through their whatever way that they worship. What yoga offers is a non-sectarian way to access your spirituality, and it's a direct route to it. And I think that is an amazing benefit of the yoga practices. Okay, I'm seeing some other questions come in on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for asking questions, by the way. Feel free to use the comment box. Okay, so this one said, I could not attend your webinar that I signed up for. Will a recording be sent out? Yes, we sent out the recording on Saturday. If you didn't receive it, please email us, support@subtleyoga.com, so that we can resend it to you. Be happy to help you. Just discovered these sample classes have been wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. After one class, I felt relief from shoulder pain. Yay, that's so great. Also felt so much calmer. Great. Thank you so much. And then Kim Lee says, does the future hold any in-person programs or retreats? Maybe a visit to other countries, like your neighbor to the north, Canada. I often go where people ask me to go. I don't really set up my own workshops in other countries, but like I've taught in Canada many, many times, probably, I don't know, 5, 6 times. I've taught for Karen Claffey in Hamilton. But I haven't done that since the pandemic. I taught in Brazil 5, 6 times. I haven't been there since the pandemic. I've taught in New Zealand, Australia. I've taught in Europe. I've taught in UK. But that was all set up by people. I taught in Ireland in it was all before the pandemic. So I haven't done anything since the pandemic. If you know folks who might want to set up something live up there, let me know. We are having a retreat here in Asheville. I highly recommend that you come. We only have a few spots left, actually, but you can reach out to Stacy, support@subtleyoga.com if you're interested. It's March 22nd to 24th. It's called the Subtle Yoga Golden Ratios Retreat. I'm going to be teaching how to find the ratio that really works for your nervous system. So it's very individualized. Okay. Let's see. The next one is from Kathy. Hi, Kathy. I teach chair yoga and use subtle yoga techniques of cross-lateral and contralateral movements. Woohoo! Wait, I should be going, woohoo! I usually put them in a flow, repeating it 3 times, then have them try to do it without my cueing. Great. We all laugh when we mess up and we have fun. Thank you for teaching me this technique. Great. I'm so glad you're using that. Cross-lateral, contralateral stuff it's just great for the brain, and it can be super fun. Karen Beckerman Reals, welcome, Karen. In the discussion we're having currently, yoga and religion, higher power defined, etc. Examples of topics that are included and discussed regularly in the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society. Yeah, I mean, I do talk about spirituality. It's part of how I teach, so I weave it in, and my interest is in helping people to access it, again, as I said, in a non-sectarian way. It doesn't mean it's secular, but it's not sectarian. I hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to type another one. Hi, Maureen. Maureen said, thank you for expanding on higher self, a direct route to whoever or whatever is responsible for being here on earth. Wonderful. Great. And Fred said, I'm recovering from surgery. Cannot begin practice till February. Can my subscription begin in February? I think that would be fine. We always make exceptions for folks, in those kind of extenuating circumstances. So just reach out to Stacy. We're happy to help. And also that leads me to the no one turned away for lack of funds. We have offered many, many scholarships, thousands of dollars in scholarships over the years. And we're very happy to help people who need support. Okay, so feel free to keep using the comment box if you have questions, and I'm going to read. I still have a few more questions, and we have about 20 minutes left. So the question of what platform will the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society meet, or does it meet on? So we meet on Facebook right here. No, it's not right here. It's in Subtle Yoga Resilience Society, which is its own group. So once you sign up, we tell you how to get there, and you just ask to be admitted, and then we have to compare it with our spreadsheet. And I don't do any of that, but but that's the process as I understand. And then and some people don't have Facebook, which I completely understand. And so we have another platform, which is called Kajabi, and you don't have to join Kajabi. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is get the link that we send you, and then you can create your own password. Boom. It's super easy and very well organized, actually. So that's where all the recorded stuff lives. Somebody asked me if it's worth it to join because you can't attend live. A lot of people ask me that question, and this is really your choice. I highly recommend that you put it on your calendar and say, okay, I can't be there Wednesday, but I'm going to be there on Thursday. I'm going to be there on Saturday. You put it on your calendar and you show up for yourself. That is one way that it works. And other people, as I mentioned earlier in the live stream, other people find study buddies and they watch and they like hold each other accountable and watch at the same time. Okay, let's see. So I've already talked about refunds. Somebody else asked if they can get a refund. No. And then somebody said, we don't do refunds on it because it's a membership. So that's another question that comes up quite frequently. People say, well, what if I leave my membership? Do I still have access? And we do not, because it's a membership, it's like going to the gym. When you have a membership to the gym, you go. When you have your membership, if you stop your membership, you don't go. It's basically the same thing. So no, you do not have access when you're not a member. And how do I cancel? Really easy to cancel. You just reach out to support@subtleyoga.com. And then somebody said, if I left the Resilience Society, I want to know how I can get back in. And it's super easy. You just, you can join when we have the window open, which, by the way, the window's only open until tomorrow night at 12, and then it will close again until later this year. Usually we open twice a year, kind of when, it's usually somewhere in the half year mark. And we've done that because we really like to have the cohort and people feel safe. We close the doors. And then, we open them a couple times a year. We do have a waiting list when it's not happening. So if you want to rejoin, usually it's just at the rate that, unless you need a scholarship, it would be at the rate that is being offered at that time. I think that's all I have. Those are all the questions. I can't believe I got through them all. Trying to think if there's anything else that people often ask me about the group, but feel free to use the chat box, or the comment box rather, if you have other questions. I was surprised. I didn't realize the questions from YouTube were going to come up on my StreamYard. Oh, that's another thing. As I have been mentioning, the different things that I use, like these Rode mics that I really like, and I use I'll show them there for a moment. And I use and this has this things out of it, because you have to buy this extra, actually, which I didn't use my Rode mic for like 4 months because I couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, oh, I just needed this cord, and now it works fine. I use that. I use the Logitech camera. But the other thing I was going to mention that I use is this software called StreamYard. StreamYard is pretty affordable. I can't remember how much I pay. It might be $29 a month, something like that. And it might be a little bit less if you buy it for a year. And it's a really easy streaming platform. And what I like about it is I think you can stream up to 4 places at once. So I stream to my YouTube channel, and I stream to the Facebook channel, like this one, the Facebook group, or channel. This is I guess it's my professional page. So I can do it to a page or a group or YouTube. The only thing that you can't do it to is, and I'm looking, but I don't have it here. I was going to hold up my phone because Instagram it's just a phone thing pretty much, and I do live streams on Instagram, but it's just like this. I'll just do like informational stuff on Instagram every week, but it's not. It would be so much easier if you could if you could StreamYard to Instagram, because StreamYard does everything at once. And so sometimes people ask me about that. A lot of times people ask me about the platforms I use. Okay. Somebody asked me about my yoga mat. I forgot about that question. So the yoga mat I've been using lately, is a cork yoga mat, which I quite like because it's not plastic. Um, and the company that makes it is called 42 Birds, like birds. I actually don't have any relationship with them. The only relationship I have with them is that my cousin from Chicago reached out to me and she said, "Hey, do you want to try this mat? My friends make this mat, so do you want to try it?" And I was like, "Sure." And she's like, "Well, you have to buy it." I was like, "Good. That keeps things cleaner anyway." I don't really like promoting products, although like I'll show you stuff that I like to show you stuff I use, but I don't like the whole sort of like getting kickbacks thing. So I bought a mat from them. I was trying to support my cousin's company, and I love it. It's a really nice mat. Yeah, the other thing I love are the 3-minute eggs, and I don't have any in my office here, but they're like yoga blocks, but they're shaped more kind of in an oval shape. I love those for practice, and one of my friends makes them here in Asheville. I also love the Inner Space yoga bolsters. People ask me about that, my bolsters sometimes, and I bought like 14 of them back when I was doing yoga teacher trainings I used to just do my own yoga teacher trainings in a physical therapy space here in Asheville. So I needed all my props. So I bought about 14 of them way back when, and they've held up so beautifully over the years. I just keep them like wrapped up in these nice laundry bags, and they're wonderful. And the covers are so beautiful, and you can just take the covers off and wash them, and they're great. I love Inner Space yoga stuff. So there you go. I'm not getting no kickbacks from that, but I'm happy to share the stuff that I use. I just use like regular straps and regular blocks when I need them. And I also love to just like, I have these Swarupa yoga blankets that are super thick and squishy. I don't know why they're Swarupa yoga blankets, but I got them from somebody who taught Swarupa yoga like probably 15 years ago. And I still have them. They're in great shape, and they look great when you wash them. Those are wonderful blankets for yoga. And a lot of times I'll just practice on a blanket. I don't always use a yoga mat. I hope that's fun. I hope those little prop things are fun. I saw Annette just wrote in, do you use a membership management platform? How do you set up membership for students? So I have a digital marketing specialist who works for us, like that's her job, is working for us. And so she sets all that stuff up, and it's really complicated. I don't pretend to really understand it. Like I mostly do what I love, which is teaching yoga, and I let other people do the stuff that I am not good at. And I may be able to learn it, but I don't want to. I want to focus on teaching yoga. So I'll tell you what we use. We use something called ConvertKit, which is an email platform software. We use that. And then we use Kajabi to host the courses. And every time you put a course in, like the price that you pay for the year goes up. Not every time you put a course in, but it goes up at like 15 courses and then 30 courses, something like that. And none of these things are cheap, by the way. And then we use something called Zapier to connect everything. And as I said, I really don't understand. It's a dark science that I don't really understand very well, but it's a little bit complicated how we manage everything. And Stacy might even know better than I do in terms of how we help people get to where they're going. But my courses, my like evergreen courses, the ones that I film professionally and then put up and then people can buy them, like they all live in Kajabi. What's different about the Resilient Society is that we do it here in Facebook because it's an easier way to do things live. You can't really live stream to Kajabi. I know that a lot of yoga teachers use Zoom to live stream, and Zoom is really affordable. And then you can do, if you have more than 100 students, you can do like large group upgrades, and then it's a little more expensive, but it's still, Zoom is much more affordable than a lot of the other platforms I use. So I'm sorry I'm not giving you a great answer for student management, but I don't use anything like, what's that one called? I can't remember. They rate me a lot of times asking me if I want to use their student management software, but I don't use it. And I can't even remember what it's called. That's how much I don't use it. Mary said, I have a few of your courses. Are they for life? Oh, that's a really good question, Mary. So people ask me that a lot. They say, are your courses available for life? And I'm always like, that's such a tricky question because I don't understand. Maybe I'm not understanding the question well. Does it mean for the life of the course? Does it mean for your life? Does it mean for my life? I'm not sure, but I see that a lot with courses. Like, are your courses available for life? And I'm always like, I don't know what that means. Like, our courses, so we don't say they're available for life because we don't want to give the impression that they're going to be there for 100 years. They will be, we always go like, okay, this course is going to be up for 2 years because we're doing okay. Like the subtle yoga is digital, it's online. We have lots of great support people. My health is good, but if at some point I get chronically ill, God forbid, or I die suddenly, like my courses are going to be taken down, not immediately, but they will be taken down eventually because it's very expensive to keep courses going. So as long as subtle yoga is going, the digital form of subtle yoga, we're saying, yeah, you can watch these courses as many times as you want, but for life, that's a very difficult thing to say, and I don't want to make promises that what if something happened and I had to shut down digital subtle yoga. I don't want to think about those things, but you have to. It's just like you have to write a will. It's the same sort of thing. So that's why we usually say, like, when we put up a new course, we say this course will be up, and it's usually for 2 to 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years usually, and then at the 2.5 to 3 year mark, we go, okay, it's fine. We'll keep it up there for another 2.5 to 3 years. So that's the way we've been doing it. We hope that and by the way, I have been upgrading some of my courses and I will continue to do that. Like I just upgraded the visioning course, Visioning 2024. We upgraded it. And if you had already purchased it when it was $7, it was very, very cheap. You get the upgrade. So we do stuff like that. I upgraded the Science of Slow last summer, and that was my first course that I ever put out. That course has been out for 5.5 years, and it needed upgrading. So I upgraded it last summer. Everybody who bought it gets access to the upgrade. So that course has been alive for 5.5 years, the life of the course. So I hope that's helpful in thinking about it. We want to be as clear as we can. Yeah. So Mary said, are they taking off after a while? No, we don't. They're there. They're there as long as we keep doing what we're doing. They will be there. Yeah. Annette said, thank you. It's definitely a dark science. It really is. Like if you can find someone to help you, I highly recommend it. Getting someone who understands this dark science. I mean, I'm 58. Like I really don't understand much about the internet at all. It's not, I wasn't a young person when it came out. So I've really had to learn a lot. And I'm very grateful that I have so many people that have helped me. Nancy said, trying to chat is weird, so I'll try again. I like having the transcripts on YouTube. You did not have them on your challenges. Please continue. Nancy, I'm not sure what happened with the transcripts. So we have it set for the transcripts, but what happens sometimes with Facebook or with what happens all the time with Facebook and with any of these platforms is that they'll make an upgrade to the platform somehow, and then certain things fall by the wayside, and that may have been what happened with the I guess what is it called, the subtitle. It's not even subtitles, it's the transcript, I guess you call it, that will come across as words across the page. So somebody else told me that today too, and it was not intentional. It was just for whatever reason it's not working. So I need to go back in and look at that. And every time I have to do stuff like that, I have to find a YouTube video to show me how to do it because I don't know. Citizen Cohen, hi. Is there a library of classes? Yes, there's a library with more than 200 classes in it, actually. And you can watch them whenever you want. I don't teach in a linear way. The way that I teach is very much I spiral back. Repetition is what changes the brain. So I spiral back to topics all the time. And it's a little bit of a different, something a little different within the repetition. So like I never teach the same class, but I spiral back to the topics. So a lot of people just jump in and they try a class and then wherever, like oh, I'm really want to work on my hips or something, so they'll find a class for that. And tomorrow I want to work on, I'm feeling low energy and fatigue, so I want to work on restorative, and then they find a class for that. So there's endless possibilities of where you can go. There's many different lengths of classes. We have classes that are as short as 20 minutes and as long as an hour, and then plus the mini workshop another half hour. So if you want to do it daily, you can totally self-curate what classes you want to do. And many, many people do that. So we had this fall, one of our participants did a 100-day challenge, and she took a class every day, and then she would post about it and talk about her challenge. And then I had her on and we did a little interview about her challenge. It was really fun. What's the promo code on the sign up page? Okay, the promo code is for folks that were on the waiting list. They get a little extra discount. Again, if you need a discount, if you need, if you can't pay the price that we have it at now, just feel free to reach out to us because we are always happy to help with scholarships. But that's what the promo code was about this time. Okay, folks, so I can be here for another 6 minutes. I was going to do, 5 minutes now. I was going to do this for an hour. So if you have questions, this is a really good time to wrap it up. I'm just looking on my list to see if there's anything I missed. I don't think so. Oh, somebody asked me to explain the schedule, and I did a little bit earlier in the hour, but I'm happy to explain it here again. So the first Wednesday of the month is always a mini workshop where I delve into the topic. Like right now, the topic is creating a healthy habit from yoga. So, or out of yoga, creating healthy habits around your yoga practice, in other words. So that's the topic we're working on right now. Then there was a 60-minute asana class that went with that. And then the second Wednesday of the month, I do a 30 to 40-minute asana class with some pranayama at the end. So I've introduced many different kinds of pranayama: Viloma Krama, Anuloma Krama, Nadi Shodhana, Chandra Vedana, many ratios of breathing, Langana ratios, Brahmana ratios, and many different variations of them. So I'm super into pranayama. I love teaching it. And that's what we do on the second Wednesday. On the third Wednesday, we do a asana class plus meditation. And I teach yogic meditation primarily. So it's typically mantra based. That's on the third Wednesday. The fourth Wednesday, I teach a 60-minute asana class. And it's always around whatever the theme is for that month. If there's 5 Wednesdays in the month, the fifth Wednesday is off. And of course it's all recorded. And then you also get the notebook and journal. I have a notebook and journal that I create every month around the topic. So you can be journaling about the practices and, charting your progress. I also have guest teachers come in quarterly in the Resilient Society. So we have amazing teachers. We've had some amazing teachers this year. And what else? And then also people who are in the Resilient Society get discounts on my continuing ed workshops. I started doing continuing ed workshops probably 10 years ago because I had trained a lot of yoga teachers at that point, and I wanted to provide some possibility for continuing and deepening study after 500 hours of training. So I started doing that like more than 10 years ago, I think. And when COVID hit, we took them all online. And then we've just kept them online since that time. And what I've done for live practice is have a workshop retreat every spring. So we'll be doing that again. So this spring, the continuing ed workshop will be held on April. Oh gosh, I'm going to get the dates wrong, but it's in April. We have 2 Saturdays in April. It's 6 hours each Saturday. It's not the same content, it's different content. And the topic is chair yoga for chronic health conditions. So that'll be coming up, and keep an eye on your email for that. Okay, so I think that's all. I don't see any more questions coming in. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. And I hope you think about, if you're not already a member, I hope you think about joining. And if not, I wish you all the best with everything that you're doing. And take really good care. Thank you so much for those of you who participated in the challenges as well. Those, as I said, those classes stay up until the end of the month. Take good care. Thanks for being here. Bye.